"You're not man enough for my needs," she said dismissively while cheating, so I stepped back silently. Now her man exposed as a fraud. She's alone, and my evolved self rejects her firmly. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. Thanks. Throwaway account for obvious reasons. I've been lurking on subs like r/relationships and r/true off my chest for a while, reading stories that hit a little too close to home. Figured it was time to share mine, especially now that the dust has settled and I've come out the other side stronger. This all went down about a year and a half ago, but it feels like a lifetime. If you're here for a tale of betrayal, quiet resilience, and some poetic justice, buckle up. I'll try to keep it real, no embellishments, just the facts as I live them. My name's Alex, or at least that's what I'll call myself here. I was 28 at the time, working as a mid-level analyst at a consulting firm in a mid-sized city. Nothing glamorous, but it paid the bills and gave me stability. I'd been with Sarah for almost 5 years. We met in college, back when she was studying marketing and I was grinding through business classes. She was vibrant, ambitious, the kind of person who lit up a room. I fell hard, and from the start, I was all in. Committed, loyal, the whole package. Looking back, I see now how much I sacrificed without even realizing it. I turned down a promotion early in our relationship because it would have meant relocating to another state, and Sarah said she wasn't ready for that. "We need to build our life here first," she'd told me. So I stayed, picking up extra shifts to help when she bounced between jobs. She had this dream of starting her own freelance gig, but it never quite took off. I'd cover rent, groceries, even her student loans some months, telling myself it was temporary. Teamwork makes the dream work, right? There were flashbacks that sting even now. Like the time I skipped a weekend hiking trip with my buddies, something I'd loved since I was a kid, because Sarah needed me to help her prep for a job interview that fell through anyway. Or when I put my gym membership on hold to save money during one of her unemployment stretches, only for her to spend on new clothes for networking events. I didn't mind then. I thought that's what love was, putting the other person first. But she started changing. Subtle at first, little digs about how I was too routine, how my job was safe but boring. She'd scroll through social media, pointing out guys who were killing it as entrepreneurs or influencers. "See, that's real ambition," she'd say with a laugh that didn't quite reach her eyes. It made me feel like a backup plan, like I wasn't measuring up. I ignored the red flags for too long. The late nights at networking drinks. The way her phone would buzz at odd hours, and she'd angle it away from me. The emotional distance. Conversations that used to flow now felt forced, like she was somewhere else. I chalked it up to stress. Maybe I was too predictable, too steady. I even started planning ways to surprise her, like booking a spontaneous weekend getaway. But deep down, confusion gnawed at me. Was I really not enough? Had I given too much without asking for anything in return? Then came the night everything shattered. It was a Thursday, one of those ordinary evenings that turn into defining moments. I'd come home early from work, hoping to cook dinner and talk things out. The apartment was quiet, but her coat was on the hook. I heard voices from the bedroom, hers, laughing in a way I hadn't heard in months, and a man's. My stomach dropped. I pushed the door open, and there she was, tangled in the sheets with some guy I'd never seen before. They froze, and time did too. Sarah scrambled up, wrapping the blanket around herself. The guy, later I learned his name was Jake, just smirked like he'd won something. I stood there, the world tilting, feeling a mix of rage and numbness. But I didn't yell, didn't throw anything, just stared, waiting for her to say something, anything that might make sense of this nightmare. She didn't even look guilty at first, more annoyed, like I'd interrupted her. "Alex, what are you doing home so early?" she snapped, as if that was the issue. I managed to croak out, "What's going on?" She sighed, rolling her eyes like I was being dramatic. "Okay, fine. You caught me. But let's be real. This has been coming for a while." The guy, Jake, chuckled under his breath and started pulling on his pants, muttering something about handling this later. He brushed past me on his way out, clapping me on the shoulder like we were pals. Tough break, man. Sarah didn't stop him. Instead, she sat on the edge of the bed, crossing her arms. "Look, Alex, I've been trying to tell you. You're You're not man enough for my needs anymore. Jake gets it. He's driven. He's got that edge. He's building this amazing startup, and he makes me feel challenged, excited. You've become so complacent, just going through the motions at your job, never taking risks. I need more than that. Her words hit like punches, each one twisting the knife. I leaned against the doorframe, trying to process. So you've been cheating? For how long? Does it matter? A couple months. But it's not just about the sex, though yeah, that's better too. It's about growth. I've outgrown you. You hold me back with your stability. Jake pushes me forward. He says I have potential, real potential, and we're talking about partnering on his business ideas. You're content with mediocrity. She stood up now, pacing a little, her voice gaining that smug edge, like she was lecturing a child. I tried to hint at it, you know. All those times I said you should be more ambitious, aim higher. But you didn't listen. You just kept plodding along, paying the bills, being reliable. Boring. This is on you as much as me. If you'd stepped up, maybe I wouldn't have looked elsewhere. Hypocrisy dripped from every word. I'd stepped up plenty, covering her when she quit jobs on whims, supporting her dreams that never materialized. But there she was, justifying it all with this twisted logic, like my loyalty was a flaw. I felt the confusion boiling into hurt, but I swallowed it. No begging, no tears. If that's how you feel, Sarah, then go. Be with him. She blinked, like she expected a fight. Really? Just like that? No, please don't leave, or we can work it out. I shook my head, my voice steady even if my heart wasn't. No. If I'm not enough, then you should have what you need. She huffed, grabbing clothes from the drawer. Fine. You'll regret this, you know. Jake's the real deal. And you? Good luck finding someone who puts up with your average life. I didn't respond. Just turned and walked to the living room, starting to gather my things. She kept talking as she dressed, throwing in more jabs. See, this is exactly what I mean. No passion, no fight. Jake would never just roll over like this. By the time she stormed out, slamming the door, I was already packing a bag. The silence that followed was deafening. I sat on the couch, replaying it all. The sacrifices, the red flags, her cruel dismissal. It felt so unfair, like I'd poured everything into us only to be discarded like yesterday's news. Confusion swirled. Was I really not man enough? Had I missed the signs? But beneath it, a quiet resolve started forming. I wouldn't chase, wouldn't confront Jake or beg her back. I'd just step back, change the locks the next day, forward her mail, and disappear from her life as much as possible. Little did I know, that was just the beginning. That first night alone in a cheap motel room was rough. I didn't sleep much, just stared at the ceiling, replaying every moment of that confrontation in my head. Her words echoed. Not man enough. Complacent. Mediocrity. It stung deeper than the cheating itself. The way she twisted my loyalty into a weakness, like all those years of support were just proof of my inadequacy. I thought about the sacrifices again, like the time I'd turned down a chance to study abroad for a certification program because she panicked about being alone for 3 months. I can't handle the distance, Alex. You're my rock, she'd said then. Now, that rock was apparently too dull for her shine. Confusion hit me in waves. Was she right? Had I played it too safe, let life pass me by while propping her up? I scrolled through old photos on my phone. Us at her graduation, where I'd worked weekends to pay for her cap and gown. A vacation I funded after her first big freelance flop. It felt so one-sided now, like I'd been pouring into a leaking bucket. But I didn't call her, didn't text Jake or blast her on social media. That wasn't me. Instead, I focused on logistics, called a friend to crash on his couch temporarily, contacted the landlord about breaking the lease, and started job hunting for something with more growth potential. The promotion I'd passed on before? Turns out a similar role was open in a neighboring town, about an hour away. I applied that week. Detaching wasn't easy, but I did it methodically. Changed my number after forwarding her a final email with practical details, like how to pick up her stuff from storage. Blocked her on everything, though I kept tabs through a mutual friend or two, just to avoid surprises. The silence was my ally. For the first month, I threw myself into rebuilding. Resumed the gym routine I'd dropped for her. Nothing fancy, just weights and runs to clear my head. Landed that new job as a senior analyst, with a bump in pay and remote flexibility. Moved into a small apartment in the new town, nothing flashy, but mine. No more double shifts to cover someone else's dreams. There were low moments, sure. Nights when the unfairness choked me up. Why did I get discarded after giving so much? I'd sit with it, journal a bit, remind myself that begging or confronting would only validate her twisted logic. Instead, I evolved quietly. Read books on self-improvement, reconnected with old hobbies like hiking. My internal voice shifted from "what did I do wrong?" to "what can I do better for myself?" It was freeing, in a way. The confusion faded into clarity. I'd been loyal to a fault, but that didn't make me weak. It made her ungrateful. And as weeks turned to months, she became less of a ghost in my thoughts. I wasn't healed overnight, but I was moving forward, one deliberate step at a time. I didn't hear much about Sarah initially. Mutual friends respected my space, and I didn't pry. But around 4 months in, bits started trickling through. At first, it was casual mentions. "Hey, saw Sarah posted about some new business venture with that guy." Jake, the real man, had apparently swept her into his world of entrepreneurial magic. From what I gathered, he ran a consulting side hustle that sounded too good to be true, promising quick flips on investments, networking events that screamed pyramid scheme vibes. Sarah quit her part-time gig to partner with him, investing our old joint savings, the part she'd claimed in the split, into his groundbreaking app idea. Then the cracks showed. A friend texted me one day, "Dude, you dodged a bullet. Jake's business is shady. Heard from Mike that he's got complaints piling up from investors." Turns out, Jake wasn't the ambitious visionary Sarah painted. He was a fraud, stringing people along with fake credentials and borrowed money. He'd convinced Sarah to front cash for prototype development, promising massive returns. She even roped in a couple of her friends, hyping it as the next big thing. But it unraveled fast. The app never materialized. Jake pocketed the funds, ghosted half his contacts, and when the heat came, he bailed entirely. Left town overnight, leaving Sarah holding the bag. Debts from loans she'd co-signed, angry calls from those friends she'd dragged in, and a reputation in tatters. Karma didn't stop there. Without a job and buried in fallout, Sarah's life spiraled. Mutual acquaintances started distancing themselves once the full story spread. How she'd cheated, trashed me publicly in group chats. Yeah, screenshots made the rounds, and now this scam mess. Her freelance dreams? Shot. Potential clients heard about the drama and steered clear. She ended up crashing with her sister, scraping by on odd gigs, isolated and broke. I learned all this secondhand, through offhand comments from friends who'd chosen sides. She's a mess, man. Regrets everything, but too proud to admit it. I didn't gloat, didn't reach out. It was ironic, though, her chase for excitement landed her in chaos, while my complacency built a solid foundation. Seeing it unfold from afar just reinforced my detachment. She wasn't my problem anymore. About 6 months after the breakup, the reconciliation attempt started. I'd unblocked her number by then, not out of hope, but practicality. There were loose ends like shared bills popping up, and ignoring them forever wasn't feasible. The first wave came via text, casual at first, like she was testing the waters. My phone buzzed one evening while I was unwinding after a hike. "Hey Alex, it's Sarah. Been thinking about us a lot lately. I messed up big time. Jake turned out to be a total fraud. He scammed me and vanished. Can we talk? I miss what we had." I stared at the screen, feeling a flicker of something, not pity, but detachment. Her words rang hollow, echoing the smugness from that night. I didn't respond right away. A day later, another. "Please, Alex. I know I hurt you, but I was confused. You were always so steady. Let's grab coffee." Still, I kept it minimal. Typed back. "No need, Sarah." Moved on. Short, final. But that opened the floodgates. The second wave hit a week later, escalating to calls and voicemails. My phone rang late one night. I let it go to voice. "Alex, pick up. I need to hear your voice. I'm so sorry. Jake ruined everything. He took my money, my trust. But you were always there for me. Don't abandon me now when I'm at my lowest. We can fix this, right? Call me back." She called again the next day, twice. I answered the third time, figuring silence might drag it out. What do you want, Sarah? Her voice cracked, a mix of tears and urgency. Alex, thank God. Listen, I was an idiot. Blinded by his lies. He promised the world, but it was all fake. Now I'm drowning in debt. Friends won't talk to me. You get it. You're the only one who ever really supported me. Remember how we used to dream together? Give me another chance. I'll make it up to you. I stayed calm, voice even. Sarah, that's in the past. I'm not interested. She pushed harder. But why? You're being cold. After everything we shared? My sister's been on me about this. She says you're acting petty, holding a grudge. Man up and forgive, Alex. I need you. Ah, the hypocrisy, throwing man up at me now. I could hear her sister in the background, muttering agreement. Yeah, Alex, Sarah's suffering. Think about the good times. I cut in. This isn't about grudges. It's about moving forward. Goodbye. Hung up, blocked the sister's number 2. But she didn't stop. A few days later, the third wave. She showed up at my new apartment unannounced. I'd just gotten home from the gym, sweat-soaked and centered. Knocking turned to pounding. I opened the door a crack, chain on. Alex. She looked rough, hair messy, eyes red, clutching a bag like she'd packed for a plea. How can you ignore me like this? After all we've been through, you're just ghosting? I drove an hour to see you. I kept my tone neutral. You shouldn't have come. I said I'm done. She shoved the door lightly, voice rising. Done? Because of one mistake? Jake was the mistake. He left me broke and alone. But you're proving you were never man enough to fight for us. If you cared, you'd help me now. I see it clearly. You're selfish, always were. Hiding behind your stability while I suffer. The rage boiled over. Her face twisted like that breakup night. Admit it. You enjoyed watching me fall. Mutual friends told me you're thriving, new job and all. But without me pushing you, you'd still be stuck. Come on, let's rebuild. I need you. No, we need each other. It was textbook manipulation, flipping the script again. But I felt nothing but clarity. Sarah, you made your choice. I respected it by stepping back. Now respect mine. She banged the door once more. You're heartless. Fine, rot in your average life. Then stormed off, tires screeching. I closed the door, exhaling. Her desperation highlighted the growth I'd achieved. No more confusion, just peace in my boundaries. Little did she know, the real closure was coming soon. A couple months later, the final loose end forced us together. A financial settlement meeting. We'd had a joint savings account for future plans, and the lease on our old apartment had lingering fees. My lawyer suggested a mediated session to divvy it up cleanly, no court drama. I agreed, figuring it was the last step to full freedom. The meeting was at a sterile office downtown, neutral ground. I arrived early, dressed sharp for my new role, suit, confident stride. Promotion had come through, along with resuming hikes, and even dating casually. Life felt full, her chapter irrelevant. Sarah showed up late, disheveled in wrinkled clothes, her mom trailing behind like backup. The mediator greeted us, but Sarah beelined for me before we sat. Alex, wait. We need to talk, privately. Her mom chimed in, voice accusatory. Yes, young man. Think of the family. Sarah's been through hell because of that con artist, and now this? She's suffering, and it's partly on you for not being there. I nodded politely to the mediator, who suggested we proceed. As we reviewed papers, me getting my share of savings, her taking the lease hit, Sarah interrupted. Alex, please, give us another chance. I see now, you were the real man all along. Jake ruined me. Debts, no job, everyone gone. Help me fix this. We can start over. I'll change. Her voice trembled, eyes pleading. The mom added, she's learned her lesson. Forgive and move on as a couple. It's what good men do. I signed a form, then met her gaze steadily. Sarah, remember what you said? I wasn't man enough for your needs. You needed more, ambition, excitement. Well, I've found more in myself. That promotion I skipped for you? I took a better one. Resumed the gym, the hikes you called predictable. My life's richer now, without the weight of someone who saw my loyalty as weakness. She reached for my hand. I pulled back. But Alex, I was wrong. You're everything I need. Don't leave me like this. I mirrored her old words calmly. You outgrew me, right? Pushed for growth? I've grown too. Learned to prioritize what matters. And you? You're no longer part of that. This settlement closes everything. My happiness doesn't involve you anymore. The mediator cleared his throat. We wrapped up. Sarah sat stunned, tears flowing, her mom huffing about cruelty. Walking out, I felt nothing but peace. Karma had done its thing, exposing the frauds, Jake's schemes, her hypocrisy. I'd stepped back silently, evolved firmly. Thanks for reading, folks. Moral: value yourself first. Life's too short for anything less. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. What do you think about this story? Share it in the comments.